Lisa.
Sarah, Buffy.
Wow. I feel like this is my signature flocking together move. I just get so excited to see people and have this time. So this is a really special conversation for me. Lisa McCoon, director of Pause for Parents, Play for Kids. We're going to get into that. You have a million other things you do and are a part of, so I want to just slow it down a minute. You and I met, I don't know, 300, 400, 500 years ago.
Yes.
Ever since COVID, it's, what is time? Okay.
Right.
But you and I have met in like a training learning space, but you, I think in particular, have the heart you have for the work, the passion you have, the drive you have, the ability to synthesize and integrate information is incredible. And one of my, we're going to get to who are you for everybody listening, but I just want to name one of my favorite moments that I've ever had with you. After a couple of engagements we had together, you went to a conference and you were hearing some nonsense, and you told me that the blood started to boil, the hands started to shake, and you just couldn't help yourself but wait a minute, to use your own voice and share and connect and bring in some of this trauma-informed knowledge into the world based on what you had been learning. And I have chills even thinking about that, because I feel like my role is to plant seeds, to inspire, and then you get to water those seeds, and you are a flourishing garden and bouquet. So if you could take me back, who are you? How are you? Tell me about your journey even into Pause. And I'll just be in the listening seat here for a moment.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here talking with you and being part of this conversation. And thank you for your sweet words that you just shared with everyone. I didn't know that. So
Yes.
I love that you shared that even with me. But I am the executive director of Pause for Parents, but I feel like that is about this much of really who I am. I am a mom of 4 boys, and that journey started 28 years ago when I had my first son, and my youngest is 12. So I've been a mom for a really long time, boy mom specifically, which is a whole other world.
There's a whole hashtag for it. I know.
Oh, there's lots of hashtags there. And I've been married for over 20 years to my sweet husband. And I feel like where I am now is sort of this clashing of the worlds, my professional world and my personal world, sort of just coming together. And I feel like probably for the first time my whole life, I'm where I'm supposed to be. And I feel like the journey, my life before that was the journey to get here. But I back in my professional career, I really started as an entrepreneur, business owner. Had a private preschool that I opened up. When I was 14, I started with a children's entertainment business, being a clown. If you even remember, like, I can't. My staff makes lots of fun of me, but if you need a balloon animal artist, I'm your girl.
Yes.
But started there, opened up a private preschool, eventually went into ministry work, and about 9 years ago was asked to be part of this pilot respite program called Pause. And that's sort of where I landed there. Personally in my life, my second oldest, when he was 18 months old, woke up one morning unable to walk. And so we traveled some medical stuff with him. He was been diagnosed with several things since then, had multiple brain surgery since then. And my youngest has had some mental health challenges, complex and chronic. And I feel like when I was asked to be part of this Pause program, which is the program that supports families who have kids with disabilities, it really took all of those things that I had experienced in my life through work and through my family, and just allowed me to have a perspective that I think just overall was helpful with serving these families. So.
Yeah, there's so much more there. So I keep going on that work. You not only were invited to work on the pilot, but you've grown so much from a small staff, even a part of the ESC, and now you're your own nonprofit. Tell me about that journey. And specifically, you and I you invited me to be part of those conversations in that growth stage, and just as an outsider, I loved the invitation to be again involved and to kind of
Mhm.
plant some of those seeds. We've developed some training curriculums for your families, but that's just one piece of that puzzle. So tell us
Yeah.
about your growth and a little bit more about if someone wants to connect with Pause,
Yeah,
what are they
sure.
getting?
So back in 2011, I believe, this journey started way before me. There was a
Mhm.
survey that went out in Butler County specifically, from the Family and Children First Council. And every county in Ohio has a Family and Children First Council,
Mhm.
and their job really is to assess what are the needs of families in the surrounding communities, and then get all the big important people around a table to discuss how to step into that.
Mm.
And so through that survey, sort of, there was a lot of information that came back from that. But one thing was, families who had kids with disabilities were tired and they needed a break. And we know
Mm.
that this population in particular is at the highest risk for abuse and neglect.
Mm.
At that time, there were some respite options, and respite is just a fancy word for getting a break. Um, Everything from peer-to-peer respite all the way to formal systems, yet families were not utilizing them. And so
Mm.
there was a coordinator that was hired to specifically look at the whys behind that, and then try to come up with a solution that was different, that was something that families could access. And so I came onto the project about 6 months in. And at that time, they were offering respite breaks called Parents Night Out, once a month. Then it grew to 2 times a month, and then 3 times
Mhm.
a month, sort of when I
Mhm.
came on the project. And that's where it started. And it really was about giving these families a break. And, when I started, we were in the midst of our journey, but we hadn't
Mm.
really gotten to the really hard stuff yet.
Mm.
And I remember thinking my very first event that I went to, I was holding doors open for people to come in because they were broken that evening. It was fate.
Oh,
They were
oh
supposed to
wow.
be broken. But they weren't unlocking automatically. So I stood at the
Oh
door and
wow.
we're letting families in. And as parents were leaving, and even as they came to pick up, there was not one single caregiver that did not say thank you with this
Oh
genuine, authentic,
yeah.
deep thank
Mhm.
you, or was not in
Mhm.
tears, or was not, I mean, it meant so much to them. And I think in that
Yeah.
moment, I realized how impactful this 3 hours, this program, was going to be. We saw those same parents showing up month after month to get a break. And so we started building relationship with them. And as that happened, they really became more vulnerable and they started trusting us more, and
Mm.
they started sharing more of what those needs look like. And
Mhm.
that really is why the program grew. Our program, I say all the time, was built by our families, because through
Mhm.
those conversations and that feedback, they shared the need for connection and how isolated they were. They shared the need for family fun because there wasn't anything for them to do as a family together. If the
Mm.
special needs kiddo was invited to do, their thing, and the typical developing siblings in the family were
Mm.
invited to their birthday parties and their things, but there really wasn't a space for them to be together and to make those family memories together and to have those
Mhm.
pictures together.
Mm.
And so
Mhm.
we started creating some of those things, and then it just grew from there. And so we are offering a ton of different things now.
Yeah, yeah.
Oz University being one of them, where we've invited you and several others to come into the space and really help our parents just understand the brain, understand how to connect with our kids in a safe way, and more. And so
Mhm.
it's grown from there. And almost 2 years ago, we decided that instead of being a program under the Family and Children First Council, we would launch out into our own nonprofit, which has been super exciting. That sort of happened for multiple reasons. We were bringing in families from other surrounding counties, and we wanted to
Mhm.
be able to serve them, and because we were running like a nonprofit anyway from a funding
Mm.
standpoint, and we wanted to be able to open that up, to have more opportunity for that. And so we were so lucky and gifted with this amazing space, in partnership with a church that we were already
Mhm.
hosting events at. They gave us 8,200 square feet of space. We launched our nonprofit, and we've added to our team immensely.
Mhm.
I think we're up to 17 staff members now,
Unbelievable.
part-time and full-time. So yeah, so
Yeah.
it's been amazing. And the growth from the program, I mean, I think we started with 12 kids at that very first parents night out. Uh,
Mhm.
and now we're serving over 1,300 parents and caregivers. So
Unbelievable.
super,
Yeah,
super fun.
You have your heart and hands full, I
Yes,
am sure, right?
that is true.
Yeah. One of the things I remember we talked about as you guys were branching out or kind of shifting a bit is how do you incorporate growing and building resilience within
Mhm.
your families. So yeah, yes, a break, yes, respite, yes, a pause, right? Having quality time with our loved ones or with our spouses and partners is so key and important. But you also designed your program based on these five factors. Our shared mentor, Mary Vicario, talks a lot about positive, safe adults, building self-esteem, external supports, belonging, and voice, choice, and control, right?
Mhm.
Can you share a little bit how you've seen what's come out of focusing on building resilience through as you built your
Oh my
program?
gosh. Yeah, so much. So I think, when you and I met, I was in that training space, didn't know much about those words you just shared, like
Yeah,
knew
yeah.
nothing, right? They were all brand new to me.
Uh-huh.
And I think what happened in those moments that you were able to share all of your knowledge with me and the group that was with us was that there was this awareness that we already had the kids, but now we could be more intentional with the time that we already
Mm,
had them. And so, utilizing all of the education around that, we really sort of tweaked
mhm,
the program. So we didn't change it, but there were small things that we did in order to bring sense
mhm,
of belonging, in order, to set kids
mm,
up with another safe adult. So, for instance,
mhm,
all of our kids are either buddied one to one with a safe adult, or they're in a small
mhm,
group with peers with a safe adult or two or three. And these
mhm.
volunteers show up consistently in their lives. And so when
Yeah.
they come to our events, it's a familiar face that they can see. But everything from the trainings that we shifted sort of the training models that we
Mm,
were providing for families.
mhm,
Even we designed connection events for adults. So instead of dropping their kids off and leaving, there's a portion of our
mhm,
program where they stay and we seat them
mhm.
intentionally, and we connect
Nice.
them knowing their background or where they live or their stories, so that they can
Mhm,
build connection with each other. And so
mhm,
I would say, honestly, from paperwork through enrollment, through training, through programming, through our staff onboarding
mhm.
training that we do, every piece of our program has been impacted by what we learned, honestly.
Yeah, awesome. It's such a gift to have that kind of through line,
Mm,
that you really, that it's people are sharing the same vocabulary, they're sharing kind of the same North Star with how we want to nurture and love on our families. And a lot has been a testament to your leadership. And I think always being a continuous learner. Even with your new training programs for your families and volunteers, I know I'm one piece of the puzzle. You've got a bunch of different groups that are coming in and offering classes and courses. Our first well, not first, but of the latest edition of what we've been doing together, right? We were able to unpack five core convictions to help folks have a lens through which to orient to people and problems in a trauma informed way. We then talked about four of these resilience factors and what are they? How does trauma and toxic stress impact those? And then what can we do about it? And then we have coming up, I think we're going to do like an Instagram live or something eventually to talk about this with families. But coming up, we have a three-part session on the nervous system.
mhm,
3 years ago, would you give a
mm,
shit about the nervous system? Right? We're not talking
mhm,
about it, right?
yeah,
Your young people and our loved ones are often oriented to from a behavioral lens, which
yeah,
observes what we can see. Awesome. We have a lot of information there, but our work together is going to be how can we understand what we can't see? How
yeah,
can we start to get clues from that and really unpack what do those nervous system states mean and how can we navigate those?
mhm.
What has it been like for you personally and professionally to start to shift or bridge from the behavioral lens to a more neuroscience or nervous system lens?
It has changed my life. And I would
Mm,
argue it has changed the lives of those in my inner circle. It has
mm,
changed the lives of people in my outer circle. Um, I I completely had a life change. I think
mm,
sometimes you go into trainings and you get nuggets of information and you get excited about them, but then you come back to your desk and tasks take over,
mm,
and they become part of the pile, right?
mhm.
The pile is where dreams go to die because you don't have
Ah,
time for them. Right? And it's not from
yeah,
a
yeah,
lack of want. It's, you're
yeah,
inspired in the moment. And I think sometimes
yeah.
when we can have those moments where in the moment it changes us, or there's a blip that we sort of hold
Mhm.
on to, but then we leave that environment and things start
Yeah.
to fade away. And what I would say is that through the time that I spent with you
Mm.
and Mary Vicario and other mentors, connected to this whole idea of resilience, it changed
Mm.
my brain. It changed
Yeah,
the way
yeah,
that
yeah.
I think, the way that I interact with my kids, my husband, my coworkers, the families that we serve, people in the grocery store. It changed
Wow.
that. I always have
Yeah.
this analogy that I use sometimes where, sometimes we can be in a car on a road driving, right? And we see the cars, but we
Mm.
rarely see the people in them. And it has literally caused me to stop at stoplights and look and say, like, though that person sitting next to me at the stoplight has a story. And I think the thing that has been instrumental in doing that is realizing that we are not dealing with the person that's showing up in that moment.
Mm.
We are dealing with a person that has a history and a context, and we're dealing with all of those things that have happened
Yeah.
from in utero all the way to
Yeah.
that moment. And I think the compassion that's grown from that and the
Yeah.
understanding,
Yeah.
it changes how you show up for a person.
Yeah.
And it just changes the way that you think about a situation. I mean,
Mm.
it has been life changing. And
Mm.
I think
Mm. Mm.
by being able to understand it, and then being able to share it and being able to model it. I have never sat my husband
Yeah.
down and taught him all of the things that you have taught me. I wouldn't even be able to do that because you're
Yeah.
Sarah Buffy and you're this wealth of knowledge. I don't know how you do it. But just by being able to model it, he's picked up the
Yeah.
language, he's clued in, and he approaches life differently just from that. And so,
Yeah.
I think about you all the time, and I
Mm.
think I was in this webinar, I don't know, several weeks back, and there's this whole idea of like. A gift is something that you're born with, and a skill is something that you learn along the way. I feel
Mhm.
like I'm skilled in this, right? I've had
Mm.
from you, but
Mm.
this is your
Mm.
gift to be able to present this in such a way that people understand it
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
can consume it and can digest it, and it's safe to do that.
Mm.
And I think you've provided this atmosphere that it you're not wanting something from the people that
Mm.
are in the room with you training. You want something
Mhm.
for them. And it has been life changing, honestly.
Mm. Well, this turned. Yeah. Now I'm
Mm,
ready for your next question. No, Lisa, I really received that, and I just even want to just take a breath and just hear
yeah.
those words. Um, I wouldn't have the opportunity to do this the way I do without folks like you who are continue inviting me in. So I think, and not just you as a leader, but all the families that show up. You guys create a safe space for me to be real, to be authentic, to not know. I think that's the other thing. I try to model that. If I don't know something, I mean, we're both fast talkers, right? I can get to going, but I am have a vivid memories of sitting in this chair looking at y'all's families, and a question will be asked, and I'll say, "Here's my 2 cents," but I don't know all the way. And what do you guys think? And I think that's the safety that I think we've co-created. So just a shout out to everyone who's been showing up and your leadership. I think you modeling how to be curious. Sometimes you say the tough things that maybe everyone's thinking, but maybe folks don't have that relationship. You're able to bring those voices to the forefront, and I always appreciate that. I think if we can all be stay in that state of curiosity, we're going to be much better off together. So
Love that.
we
Love
can
that.
keep growing
Yeah.
it. Lisa, we both talk so fast. This is
I
this
know.
is a fast short. I don't even know the time and how we've gone here. But I'd be curious if I wrote this little thing on my paper, as you said, the journey has brought me to here, but I wrote this through this little crossroads. I'm curious, is there a crossroads that you're at right now? Or what's on the horizon for you, for pause? What's brewing?
Yeah, I think that in my heart, if I were to say like what fires me up every day, where do I want to go next? Where do we want to go next as an organization? I think it's just teaching more people what we already know. And I think, you know, this world is tough right now. It's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
It's hard, from so many different angles, and so many people are struggling. You know, I have kids that are engaged in our program that, you know, can't get in to see a therapist for mental health. They can't
Yeah.
access the things that they need, parents, caregivers, just the general public, you know, it's just tough. And I think, you know, I always wonder if we showed up knowing what I've been gifted to know over the past several years, would that change the culture? Would it change the way that we live every day? And I think the answer is yes.
Yeah.
And so it's really about, how do we get this information out to more people? How do we, you know, arm educators to be able to go back to teaching? You know, I think it's been super hard for them, and you know, how do we help equip them and help arm them with this knowledge? How do we help first responders? How do we just help people, you know, that we're rubbing shoulders with, where we live, work, and play, you know? Because that's really going to change the trajectory. So we are, we're doing more of that. We are expanding counties, which has been a little scary, but super exciting. So we're starting to pilot some expansion things, because we want to spread. I think that's just the, you know, the where we're headed, the goals and the things that we want to do. And crazy enough, I think I am writing a book. So that is happening, and I've been asked for 20 plus years to write a book, in different stages of my life for different things. And I guess it's happening. So we're working with the publisher and going to start doing that. So that's super exciting. But I'm excited that, like, even that is going to incorporate all of this, you know, the story of pause is this. And so I think it's just going to be another avenue in order to, you know, spread the awareness and the knowledge.
I am so excited for you, Lisa. That is beautiful. I will have you back here to talk about your book. I'm sure that is awesome. And as you're talking, the image that's coming to mind is just a pebble in an ocean, and the ripple effect that happens. And that was coming even before you said this book. So you will continue to ripple in all kinds of ways, and I'm so grateful and lucky to have caught one of those waves, you know, how many ever years ago. And I hope to continue to pour into you and all the folks that you touch as well, because it's a cool partnership we've got going on.
So. We love it, and we love you. I think you're just amazing. You are.
Well, cheers. Okay, red cheeks. We're gonna get out of here. Thank you. We will we'll post all your stuff in our newsletter so people know how to find you. But thank you, and we'll see you walking out in the room.
Thank you, Sarah.
All right. Bye-bye.